Shalom to all. Just wanted to make a video regarding the topic of gambling. What does the Torah say regarding gambling? Is it permissible or is it prohibited? And furthermore, what about someone who's day trading stocks? He's buying, selling, shorting, or cryptocurrencies. He's trading currencies. He's buying, he's selling. Is that going to be a problem? What is the Torah view regarding that? So let's start with the second question first, and that is regarding the trading. So I've asked around a little about this, and just want to say first, I am definitely not an expert on these topics of monetary matters and halacha. It's a specialty within the halacha field that only a few are experts in. However, I just got off the phone with Rabbi Kaufman on the halacha hotline in the Five Towns for Akko area, and he said that it is permissible from a halachic perspective to day trade. And the reason why, and it's not considered gambling, is because it has some value to it. There is a liquidity. When a person buys a stock, so it's an asset, it's a commodity. It is, you phrase it as a commodity, but it's an asset. It has value to it. And even if a person is going to sell it, and there's a liquidity that happens when there's transactions that are going on, whether it's a buy, a sell, someone shorting something, that apparently what the language that he used was liquidity that adds something to the market, and therefore it would be permissible from a halachic perspective to do so. Um, Now, people who are experts in this and in the trading, they have a strategy, and that strategy is being used and will be permissible. But what is the question regarding gambling in general? So this comes from a long sugya. I'm going to put in the description the link for where you could get the a lot more length about this, and if you're interested in reading up on it. But a long story short is that if someone's betting on, for example, let's say like horse racing on a track, so that would also be permissible. Interestingly enough, it's recommended not to do it because it's a waste of time. But technically speaking, it's brought down that that it would be permissible. And the question is sports events, right? There's a Super Bowl coming up. I personally will certainly not be watching it and not interested. And there's also another problem with the Super Bowl, which is the halftime show a lot of times is completely inappropriate, and the way people are dressed, etc. But that's another discussion in of itself. But anyways, what about betting on the Super Bowl or sports in general? So the idea over here is that everyone should, all the money should be placed in front of people who want to bet, and every single person should be Kona, should acquire, so to say, the container that holds the stakes. But if every single person thinks that he's going to win because of his talents and skills, then it would be prohibited. But if not, then it would in fact be permissible. Now, just to provide a brief background information uh, about this idea with gambling, and then we're going to come back to the great words of certain rabbis. What they say about this is that, and by the way, the same would apply if someone wants to go to a casino also and spend a little bit of money. He says, I know I'm going to spend X amount of money to have fun to do on that night. That would also be permissible, technically, from a halachic perspective. The Mishnah in Maseches Sanhedrin on Daf Chav Daled Amud Beis relates, it lists people who would be disqualified from being a witness. They would be puzzled to be a witness, to be an aid. And some of them is, one of the people over there is Mesachik Bekuvia. You also have Mafrichi Yoinim, which means people who are playing with dice or who are betting on pigeons racing. Now's what it turned into is the horses. But the Gemara discusses why such individuals would be disqualified from being halachic witnesses. And Rami Bar Chama explains that the winner is considered as if he stole from the losing individual, the person who lost. That's called asmachta. Asmachta in this context means doing an action under the assumption that he will never have to pay, which asmachta loikanya. It would not be a valid acquisition. Each gambler agrees to pay, but never really thinks he will lose. So when he hands over the money to the winner, it's done unwillingly, and therefore this action is considered stealing midrabanan on a rabbinic level. That would in fact be an issue. That's the discussion with the asmachta. However, the Gemara over there continues and says that Rav Shesha says no, there's no concern of theft. It's not allowed because it's not contributing to society. One does not contribute to society if they are just gambling, and therefore that's the idea over here. Therefore, he is disqualified as a witness and cannot be used if this is his only profession. The truth is in the mission itself. The Maybe Yehuda talks about it. But anyway, so there's a difference is if someone is gambling full time as a job or has another profession, right? So if he's has another profession and he's only gambling for fun, so to say, to pass time, and doesn't care if he loses, so then according to Rav Sheshes, that in fact would be permissible. Now, the Rambam discusses that someone should busy himself with learning Torah or other activities which would contribute to the society that he's in a positive way. So when is the issue of asmachta? When is it an issue of an asmachta according to Rav Sheshes, right? Meaning if you don't care, if you care that you're going to lose. So according to him, it's asmachta when you believe that you're in control of the outcome. If you think that you are in control of the outcome, so then that's going to be a problem. However, if you don't have control, it will be permissible. Asmachta applies when you make a promise to convince the other party to trust you. So gambling involves a promise, which each gambler promises to pay if he loses, and he's going to receive a promise to be paid if he wins. So the bottom line halacha is there are many poskim who rule like Rav Sheshes that it's only prohibited as a profession if someone's gambling full time and that's his only job, but occasionally it would be permissible. The Shulchan Aruch holds that any sort of gambling is considered stealing, and that's how Sephardim conduct themselves and are very stringent regarding gambling. However, the Ramah permits it with limitations, and that's the idea. So someone who would gamble wouldn't be transgressing a halachic prohibition. Nevertheless, it's still considered a waste of time. So that is the basic idea, and that is the basic ruling. And in the description, I will provide the link, and you could read up about it more if you're interested. And this is basically the idea. One more thing to point out, actually, on this, which is actually at the end of this, the Rivosh says that gambling kills people. He says it's disgusting, abominable, repulsive, and addictive. The Ber Halacha, that's the Chafetz Chaim, says that someone who's concerned for his soul should distance himself from gambling. And the Aruch HaShulchan says whoever can stop from gambling would have great reward. And Moshe Feinstein Zatzal says that it's a disgusting act and is like joining a gathering of scornful people. So we clearly see that it is not recommended. In fact, in the Meister plan, where Dr. Meister discusses how this concept of day trading is not the best profession to get into if someone could do something else. But I know people who do it and are very successful, very successful. And this would obviously also apply to options as well, trading options, that it would technically, halachically be permissible. So everyone should stay safe out there and have a wonderful day or night, depending upon when you're watching this. All the best. See you next time. Please subscribe if you haven't already.